They didn't come to my wedding. Not because they were sick, not because they couldn't afford to travel, not even because they disapproved of my partner. No, they didn't come because I got married before my younger brother, their golden boy, the one they've been grooming for the perfect family image since he was 10 years old. My name is Graham, I'm 33, and I just got married 8 months ago to the love of my life. It should have been the happiest day of my life, and in some ways it was. But the pain of seeing 2 empty chairs in the front row, where my parents should have been, still lingers in the back of my mind like a shadow I can't shake. Growing up, I was never the star. My brother Nolan, 4 years younger than me, had every spotlight, every word of praise, every ounce of affection our parents had to give. Straight A's, varsity athlete, now a well-known orthopedic surgeon, he could do no wrong. Meanwhile, I was the quiet one. The kid who liked building computers and playing indie games. The one they'd forget to pick up after soccer practice. When I got into a top engineering school, my mom asked me if I had remembered to congratulate Nolan on making honor roll. When I landed a 6-figure job at a software firm, my dad barely looked up from the kitchen table. But when Nolan got accepted into med school, they threw him a catered party with a chocolate fountain and custom cupcakes shaped like anatomy models. I wish I was joking. I stopped trying to impress them somewhere in my late 20s. It was exhausting, always being second best, always being reminded that I wasn't Nolan. So instead, I focused on building a life that made me happy. I met Megan, my now wife, at a weekend coding boot camp. She's warm, hilarious, brilliant, and the first person who's ever made me feel like being myself was enough. We dated for 4 years. When I proposed, we were curled up on the couch eating leftover Thai food, watching The Office for the 50th time. It was perfect. Megan cried, I cried, and we FaceTimed her parents that same night. They were over the moon. Her mom offered to help with the dress shopping. Her dad cracked a dad joke about finally getting a tech guy in the family. When I called my parents the next day to tell them the news, there was a long, uncomfortable silence. Then my mom asked, "Does Nolan know yet?" That should have been my first clue. They didn't ask about Megan. They didn't say congratulations. They didn't ask about a date or a venue or how I proposed. It was just awkward silence and a lukewarm, "Well, I guess we'll see what the timing looks like." And when the engagement party came around, hosted by Megan's family, they stood in the corner whispering into my mom's phone, barely interacting with anyone. Later, Megan told me she overheard them talking to Nolan. He was upset, crying even. He said, "This wasn't supposed to happen. I was supposed to get married first." That's when I realized the truth. My parents had a vision, a plan. One where Nolan's wedding would be the showstopper, the grand event that cemented their perfect family reputation. Me getting married first? It ruined everything. In the months leading up to the wedding, they dodged every invitation. I double-checked every address, every email, every RSVP request. The digital invites showed red receipts. The paper ones were signed for, but no response. When I texted, they said they were busy. When I called, they said they had scheduling conflicts. Still, I held out hope. On the day of the wedding, Megan looked radiant. The garden was beautiful. Friends and family from both sides laughed and cried and danced. But when I stood up to make my thank you speech, my voice cracked. I glanced at those 2 front-row seats. Empty. After the honeymoon, I confronted them. They claimed, get this, they never got the invitation. Said I must have sent it to the wrong address, or that I excluded them intentionally. I was stunned. I pulled up the receipt emails, showed the confirmation from the delivery service. They didn't care. My mom even cried, saying, "I just can't believe you get married without your own family there," as if I'd done this to them. But nothing prepared me for what came next. 3 nights ago, Megan received a message from Nolan. And what he said? It changed everything. When Megan showed me the message Nolan sent her, I felt a familiar mix of disbelief and sinking rage, except this time, I didn't shove it down like I used to. This time, I read every word slowly, let it burn. And I knew, right then, that whatever illusion I'd held onto about our family was dead. The message started off with that same syrupy tone Nolan always used when he wanted something. "Hey Megan, I hope you don't take this the wrong way." Then came the real message underneath the fake politeness. "But I'm concerned about Graham. He's been acting out of character lately, especially toward our parents. I don't know what he's told you, but I think he's still struggling with some deep insecurity. I just don't want our family to fall apart because of miscommunication." He actually had the nerve to frame me as unstable, as if I'd snapped and imagined everything. Then he added the part that made Megan's eyes go wide when she first read it. "You've become such an important part of his life now, and I was hoping you could help guide him back to seeing things clearly. He needs someone to ground him. You seem like that kind of person." Let that sink in. My brother, the man who didn't even text me on my wedding day, reached out to my wife behind my back to convince her that I was the problem, that I was the one tearing our family apart, that maybe, just maybe, if she handled me better, I'd stop making a scene. He didn't stop there. He ended the message with something so smug, so incredibly on-brand, it almost felt like a parody of himself. "Look, family dynamics are complicated, especially when one sibling hasn't quite found their place. I know Graham's had a different path, but I truly believe he can still have the kind of success we're all proud of. I just think it starts with healing old wounds." Together. As if I needed his permission to feel proud of my life. As if my six-figure job, my amazing wife, and my own home were somehow less. I was shaking when I finished reading. Not because I was hurt, though I was, but because, for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid to be angry anymore. Megan looked at me and said, "He thinks I don't see right through him." And that's when the real weight of it all hit me. This wasn't just about a message. It wasn't just about a wedding. It was about decades of being told I was never enough. Every time they praised Nolan and forgot I existed. Every time my mom said, "Why can't you be more like your brother?" Every birthday that passed, where I got a gift card while Nolan got a new watch, or concert tickets, or a catered dinner. Every single time I came second. And now, even after I built something of my own, something honest, something real, they were still trying to tear it down. Not because it was bad, but because it wasn't Nolan. Megan wanted to respond. She drafted a short, polite burn, but I stopped her. "No," I said. "I want them to hear it from me." I didn't sleep much that night. I sat up in the living room, going over everything in my head. My parents' gaslighting, Nolan's manipulation, my years of silence. And by morning, I had made a decision. I would confront them, all of them, in person. I texted the family group chat that afternoon, something I hadn't done in years. I asked if my parents and Nolan would be free for a dinner next weekend. My dad replied with a thumbs up. Nolan sent back, "Sounds good." Megan stayed quiet while I made the plans. But when I told her I needed to say everything face to face, she looked at me with this fierce kind of pride, like she'd been waiting for me to choose myself for once. I thought I was ready. I thought I had processed enough pain to finally speak without shaking. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened when we sat down at that table. Because before I even opened my mouth, my mom leaned across the table and said, "We're glad you wanted to talk. But if this is about you being jealous of your brother again, please spare us." When my mom leaned across the table and said, "If this is about you being jealous of your brother again, please spare us," I almost walked out right then and there. But I didn't. I sat back in my chair, breathed in through my nose, and smiled. A calm, measured smile. The kind you wear right before a storm. "I'm not jealous of Nolan," I said, my voice low. "I'm angry, and I think after 33 years, I'm allowed to be." My dad chuckled under his breath. "Here we go again," he muttered. I ignored him. For as long as I can remember, I've been the afterthought. The backup son, the quiet one. While you poured everything, attention, time, money, into Nolan. "That's not true," my mother said sharply. "We treated you both with love. You threw me a birthday party when I turned 8, then canceled it the next year because Nolan had a piano recital. You called me too sensitive when I cried about it. You bought Nolan a car for his 18th birthday. I had to take the bus for 2 years. My father's jaw tensed. You always exaggerate. You never appreciated what you did have. I appreciated Megan, I snapped, louder than I meant to. And when we invited you to the most important day of our lives, you didn't show up. You told everyone we never sent the invitations. You lied. There was silence. My mom shifted in her seat, eyes narrowing. Then she said it. We didn't lie, Graham. We protected your brother. You have no idea how hard it's been for him, watching you rush into a marriage just to beat him to the altar. He's been in therapy over this. I blinked. You're telling me Nolan's in therapy because I got married before he did? Because you humiliated him, she said, as if that explained everything. We had plans for Nolan's future. People had expectations, and you hijacked that. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It just burst out. You mean I disrupted your perfect narrative? My mom's eyes darted away. My dad was stone silent. But then Nolan spoke up for the first time all night. She's not right for you anyway, he said. What did you just say? He looked straight at me. Calm. Cold. Megan, she's beneath you. She's holding you back. I don't know why you think this marriage is some grand accomplishment. You could have done so much better. My vision blurred for a second. The rage was that sharp, that fast. I married someone who respects me. That's more than I can say for this table. You think she really respects you? He sneered. You don't even know what she's been hiding. The room went quiet. My mother's expression changed, not surprised, but hesitant. My father stared at his hands. What the hell are you talking about? Nolan leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table like this was a chess match he had just won. I didn't just message Megan that once, he said. We've been talking. For months I froze. No, I said quietly. You're lying. Go ahead, he smirked. Ask her. I even suggested she take a step back. Think about whether marrying you was the right move. My heart was pounding so hard, I could hear it in my ears. She said she didn't respond. Oh, she responded. He cut in. She just never told you. I stood up. The chair screeched behind me. You're full of it. Am I? He said, calm as ever. Check her phone. Comment the number 2 if you want to see how Nolan will pay for this. I didn't say a word as we left the restaurant. Megan was waiting for me in the car. She stood up the moment she saw my face, eyes wide with concern. What happened? She asked. I didn't answer. I just held out my hand. Give me your phone. Her lips parted slightly, but she didn't hesitate. No password needed. I already had it. I scrolled through her messages. Every name, every thread. No Nolan, not a single one. Then I checked deleted messages. Still nothing. I looked up at her. He said you've been talking to him for months, that you answered him, that you kept it from me. Megan's face hardened. Graham, I never replied to that man, ever. The moment he texted me the first time, I told you. I showed you the message. And that was it. I believed her. She had always been honest with me. She didn't have to be perfect, just consistent. And she was. But now I had proof that Nolan was willing to lie, manipulate, and weaponize my own wife against me. So I stopped reacting. I started planning. Over the next 2 weeks, I didn't block anyone. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. Instead, I built something. You see, my job isn't just software development. It's system security, tracking patterns, identifying vulnerabilities, creating backups of every single interaction. And lucky for me, I'd backed up everything from the wedding. Guest lists, RSVPs, email confirmations, text messages, even the recorded Zoom call between my mom and aunt when she swore she never received an invite, while literally waving the physical card in her hand. I compiled it all into a neat little online folder. Labeled, time-stamped, documented. Then I sent it to the family group chat. No explanation, no caption. Just a link labeled, in case anyone's still wondering why my parents weren't at the wedding. The silence was deafening. For about 5 hours. Then, one by one, the messages started rolling in. An uncle. I had no idea. This is disgusting. A cousin. Wait, they lied about not being invited? My godmother, who had missed the wedding, thinking it was a small private event, messaged me privately. Graham, I'm so sorry. I believed them. I feel sick. But the real blow came a few days later. Apparently, my mother had arranged a deal with a family friend who owns a high-end event venue. They were going to book it at a discounted price for Nolan's engagement party. But after the folder went public, that deal was revoked. The venue owner said she didn't want to be associated with fabricated drama. Then, the luxury bridal store my mother bragged about online. Gone. Appointments canceled. No explanation. And the final nail? 2 of Nolan's groomsmen backed out. One of them, his oldest friend, called me directly. I can't be part of this, man. I knew your family was intense, but this, what they did to you, what Nolan tried with your wife, that's not something I can ignore. I should have felt satisfied. Instead, I felt something sharper. Control. For the first time in my life, I wasn't reacting. I was moving the pieces. Quietly, efficiently. Megan and I booked a weekend away. Somewhere with no cell reception. Just peace. I needed it. But peace didn't last long. The night we got back, I had a package waiting at our door. No return address. Inside, there was a velvet box. And in it was my grandmother's ring. The one she'd promised me before she passed. The one my parents swore had gone missing after her funeral. The one I was supposed to propose to Megan with, until they told me it was lost. There was a note, one line. She would have wanted you to have it. No signature, but I knew whose handwriting it was. My aunt. The one who used to slip me extra cake slices when I was little. The one who told me once, in a whisper, your parents have their favorites. Don't let that define your worth. Turns out she had taken the ring after the funeral. Not to steal it, but to keep it safe. From them. Holding my grandmother's ring in my hand, something they told me had been lost forever, I realized this wasn't just about a wedding anymore. It was about reclaiming my place in a family that spent decades pretending I didn't belong. The moment I received that package, I knew exactly what I had to do. A week later, I RSVP'd yes to Nolan's engagement dinner. Megan and I arrived exactly on time. My parents looked stunned. Nolan barely acknowledged me. The table was full of extended family, a few old friends, and some very uncomfortable guests who had clearly heard the recent gossip. Halfway through the meal, I stood up and raised a toast. I just wanted to thank everyone who reached out after I posted the wedding folder, I began, looking directly at my parents. It meant a lot. The truth doesn't always speak loud, but it doesn't need to when it's complete. A few guests shifted in their seats. My father cleared his throat. This isn't the time or place, Graham. I smiled. No, it's not. But you made it that way. Then I pulled out the ring they swore was lost. The ring my grandmother gave me. The ring my mother tried to keep from me. I was told this disappeared, I said, voice steady. Turns out it didn't. Turns out someone took it to protect it. From you. My mother froze. My dad's face flushed red. Nolan laughed bitterly. This again? You think bringing an old ring to my engagement party is some kind of revenge? No, I said. This is. I reached into my coat pocket and handed out printed copies of a notarized letter. Everyone at the table got one. It was a statement from my aunt, the one who had kept the ring. In it, she detailed the years of favoritism, the manipulation, the attempts to erase me from every major family milestone. She confirmed that my mother tried to sell the ring once, before my aunt stepped in and took it. But that wasn't all. In the final paragraph, she revealed something no one at the table saw coming. My grandmother's will had been tampered with. She had left me not just the ring, but also a small property she owned, one that mysteriously ended up in my father's name a few months after her death. My aunt had copies, dates, signatures, originals filed with her lawyer. The room went dead silent. My mother stammered. "This is ridiculous." My aunt stood up from across the table. "It's not, and I've already filed with the estate attorney." Nolan stood, eyes wild. "This is what you've been planning? You came here to ruin my night?" I looked him square in the eye. "No, Nolan. I came here to stop you from ruining the rest of mine." We left in silence. No one followed us. 2 days later, I got a call from the estate lawyer's office confirming a formal investigation had been opened regarding the property transfer. If the will tampering was proven, my parents could face serious consequences. Not just legal, but reputational. In our community, things like that don't disappear quietly. Since then, most of the family has gone no contact with them. The engagement party was canceled. The venue pulled out again, citing internal concerns. And Nolan, he's been radio silent. But here's what I've learned. Revenge doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it's just the sound of silence, where there used to be manipulation. Sometimes it's watching the people who tried to bury you dig their own grave with every lie they told. And sometimes it's standing on your porch, holding your wife's hand, knowing that for the first time in your life, you didn't let them break you. You buried the fantasy. And finally lived. Comment the number 2 if you want to see what happens when Nolan tries to fix the mess and ends up digging deeper. And if you love stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. More real-life drama is coming your way.